Games-based pedagogies for inclusion in diverse Australian HPE contexts. Maisie Mears, digital presentation. This presentation will be on Coffs Harbour High School. Coffs Harbour High School is located on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. It is located on Gumbaynggirr country, which was historically known as a land rich in food and resources. The school has a strong focus on inclusion, particularly of Indigenous students and other cultural groups such as the Sikh community. Of the 900 students at Coffs Harbour High School, approximately 10% are Indigenous and nearly 20% have another language other than English. Many students that attend Coffs High also are from low-income earning families. The school's context can either facilitate or inhibit planning and implementation of instruction. Coffs High has a diverse range of students. The characteristics of diversity and difference may inhibit student learning. Without emphasis on inclusion, students may feel isolated and excluded. Woolgoola, a town located 25 kilometres north of Coffs, was one of the first Indian settlements in Australia, and it still presents a strong Punjabi culture. Woolgoola represents a large part of the Sikh community. 25% of the population of Woolgoola are Sikh. The Sikh people have 5 articles of faith: Kesh, Kanga, Kara, Kirpan, Kashira, and a turban. These articles may make them prone to discrimination and judgment from others. Within the Indigenous community, there is a consultative committee known as Yandara, which work to support the council in advising about language, policy development, strategic planning, infrastructure, and service delivery. This committee works to help Indigenous students as they are more at risk of disengaging from school than non-Indigenous students. However, through an increasing positive school culture and having high community involvement, students feel safe to engage in learning. When choosing a pedagogy, game, and its modifications for a particular group of students, it is important to choose a game and pedagogy that will be relatable for their students. Traditional teaching approaches, such as the technique-based approach, rely heavily on direct instruction of skill development. This may be difficult for Indigenous and foreign students to engage with, as they may not understand some aspects of teacher instruction. Traditional sports of the Sikh community include kudo, kudi, and kabaddi, which require similar tactical components of this game. The game sense approach is a pedagogy that helps to build understanding of the game whilst developing skills and tactical understanding. Students gain knowledge through guided discovery, where they develop game intelligence and turn into thinking players. The game is introduced through a modified version to increase involvement of all students. Due to the large percentage of diverse students at Coffs High, including Sikh students, Indigenous students, and students from low economic families, a games-based approach is required to allow all students to have access to learning. The game sense approach focuses more on strategies that underpin the game rather than the skills of the individuals. This means more students can get involved in the game, regardless of their skills or prior experience. The tactical understandings and strategies learnt from these games are often transferable across many sports. Game sense also encourages thinking and evaluation of PE situations, leading to greater engagement of all students. The Australian curriculum has presented a need to shift from teacher-directed lessons to student-centred lessons. Researchers recognise how traditional technique-based approaches favour students that have greater prior experience or knowledge or are more athletically gifted. This shift has allowed for students to begin to take ownership for their own education. The game sense approach provides a more contemporary PE experience so that all students can build deeper understanding of all parts of the games. ACARA's key ideas for student-centred learning: support a critical inquiry approach, develop understanding that individuals and social groups' meanings and interests are diverse and require different approaches, have greater focus on active learning strategies, recognise how student-centred learning helps students to develop skills to critique and challenge theirs and others' knowledge. We never educate directly, but indirectly, through means of environment, says Jury. Speedball. Speedball requires a large array of skills and tactical components in order to play the game well. It is an invasion game, which develops students' abilities to attack a goal that is being defended, move into space, and distinguish and choose an appropriate shot based on the game situation. The game is played on a rectangular playing field with a total of 6 goals, 2 basketball hoops, and 4 hockey nets. The class is divided into 2 teams. Each team has their own half. The play begins at the center where a foam ball is passed backwards to a teammate. As long as the ball is not dropped, players can pass the ball from player to player. However, the person possessing the ball is limited to pivoting. If the ball is dropped, intentionally or unintentionally, it must now be played as a soccer ball. The hoops are worth 2 points and hockey nets are worth 1. Speedball displays many tactical elements common to invasion games. Invasion games involve 2 teams competing against each other to outscore their opponents within a time limit. There is a constant switch between offense and defense. In offense, players are required to maintain possession, create space, and attack goals. In defense, students are required to defend their space through intercepts or spatial awareness and regain possession. These strategies are all common in invasion games. Tactical aspects of speedball are common in many other invasion sports, such as soccer, netball, football, AFL, basketball, and more. 1. Spatial awareness. This is one of the most important tactics that is transferable across many sports. The space we occupy, our opponents occupy, as well as free, open space, all affect the decisions made by the player. It is a key tactic that builds upon many other tactics. Possession. Possession is a critical component of invasion games. Without it, no goals or points are scored. Possession can be improved through spatial awareness, leading to tactics such as the 3-player triangle around the person with possession to support the player. Invading space. Invading space is a key goal of invasion games, seen across all sports. Without invading space, goals or points cannot be scored. The object must be moved into offender's territory to maximize scoring opportunity. 4. Scoring. Scoring is a way to earn points. Players must score in order to win. Spatial awareness is an effective component of scoring in order to maximize opportunity at the goal. Angles to the goal, distance from the goal, and creating space around the goal are all key tactics students may use to increase their scoring ability. Other tactics include attacking as a team, communication, moving with the ball, and without the ball. Modifications in speedball. The first modification I would use for speedball would be to begin with one aspect, either only kicking using the feet or throwing using the hands. For less familiar and confident students, it may be easier to begin with only one of these aspects of the game, as having both options may be overwhelming for students that have not experienced invasion games before. Reducing the player numbers. By splitting the cohort into 4 teams rather than 2, so there are 2 games of speedball going, having a smaller number of players on each team allows more students to get involved, as every player will be needed. The field will be the same size, so students will become aware of the space and where open spaces become available. This subsequently develops student skills further as they are forced to get more and more involved. I would introduce the rule that every player must touch the ball before a point can be scored. This will further maximize participation as more competent players are forced to pass to their teammates and get everyone involved before they can score points. The Australian curriculum recognises how respecting and understanding differences enhances individuals' sense of self and interaction with others. Through modifications, students are enabled to access learning and experiences. Gender diversity is addressed, as boys tend to be more competent in invasion games. By adopting modifications such as less players and including the rule that every person must touch the ball before scoring, less competent players are encouraged to get involved more. In regards to indigeneity, by creating modifications to get more students involved, a more positive and inclusive environment is created. This allows students to engage more in their learning experience, and when evaluating aspects of the game, they become more competent with the game strategies and more proficient in their skill acquisition. In order to assess students in the game of speedball, I would use a student peer assessment of an invasion game. Students observe each other in an invasion game such as speedball. They assess the received ball, conquered balls, offensive balls, and successful shot, volume of play, and lost balls. It assesses skills such as self-management skills, including decision-making and problem-solving, which are built upon spatial location. Movement skills, fundamental and specialized movement skills, and concepts, tactical and creative movement. Tactical development can be drawn from this assessment, as in order to complete skills such as conquered ball, received ball, pass, and successful shot, the student must have developed tactical awareness and spatial awareness to complete these.